The impotent king's dilemma of a legitimate heir. Henri, or Henry IV of Castile, was the only child of Juan II of Castile and his first wife, Maria of Aragon. His mother went on to live another 20 years without producing any more children. Was this a foreshadowing of her own dilemma? When Henri succeeded to the throne of Castile in 1454, aged 29, question of an heir and the rumours of the new king had spread, rumours of homosexuality and impotency. Now, sources are to be taken with a pinch of salt, due to the fact that many chroniclers and historians believe that the royal chronicles of Henri IV's reign were written or revised or influenced by his successor. What we do know is the year before Henri IV's reign in 1453, Henri sought an annulment. Henri had been married to Blanche II of Navarre at the age of 15. Yet after 13 years of marriage, no child had come of the union. Suspicions arose about Henri's virility during his annulment. During this time, if a child had not been conceived during a union, the reproductive failure ultimately ended up being blamed on the woman rather than the men. But Blanche determinedly refused to accept the blame. She announced her husband's incapability to procreate, and even went so far as to admit to examination that not only proved she could bear children, but also that she still remained a virgin. These accusations would have devastating implications to the king and his dynasty. The crown tried to mitigate the matter by having 2 prostitutes from Segovia swear to the king having intercourse with them. And Pope Nicholas V also tried to help by declaring the reason why the couple never had intercourse was because the marriage was bewitched and was therefore canonically invalid. He granted the annulment with a dispensation, trying to save Henri's honour and help salvage what could be of his dignity as king. But the damage had already been done, and the dreadful nickname Henri the Impotent was born, mocking the new king by his people and nobles alike. Problems did not stop there. To help Henri secure the throne and produce an heir, he promptly married Juana, Princess of Portugal. However, Henri ordered for the marriage tradition of the nuptial bedsheets not to be observed, causing more rumours. It took 7 years before a child was conceived, leading to increasing comments about the king's virility. Many were bemused when the queen was suddenly with child. On the 28th of February 1462, a daughter was born, named Juana, after her mother. Henry finally had a child after 20 years of marriages. Thank you for watching, and to support our channel, please do not forget to subscribe. However, in the time he'd been childless, he had not been without an heir. His father had married a second time after the passing of Maria of Aragon. He married Isabella of Portugal, who gave the king, Juan II, two children. Isabella, on the 22nd of April, 1451, and Alfonso, on the 17th of December, 1453. Henry's half-brother Alfonso had been seen as the heir apparent until the birth of Juana. But people questioned the royal princess's parentage. Speculation ran riot. The unfortunate princess began being referred to as daughter of the queen, before an even more humiliating nickname was doled out. This was Juana la Beltranilla, due to the widespread conviction of the princess being the child of Don Beltran de la Silva. Duke of Albuquerque and favourite of both Henri and the Queen. Isabella I of Castile even has in her chronicler Royal's book the following words: After 5 years of marriage, Queen Juana conceived a child. The idea she had done so created great scandal throughout the kingdom because the impotence of the king was well known, as the result of many experiences. It was believed that the child that the queen had conceived was by another man, and not the king, and people affirmed that it was one of his favourites, who was called Don Beltran de la Silva, Duke of Albuquerque, a man whom the king loved greatly. The truth of the matter of Princess Juana cannot be truly established unless historians are given permission for DNA analysis, but the speculation was the talk of the court, and many believed it to be true. Enough nobles believed the king's impotency that civil war broke out for Henri's half-brother Alfonso to remain heir. The king banished his wife from court over the drama of the child being illegitimate, and went to war for his daughter and her scorned legitimacy. In 1464, Henri could no longer win versus his nobles. He was forced to recognise Alfonso as his heir apparent. Repudiating Juana from being his official heir. The king, however, did still win in a compromise. The stipulation of Alfonso's heirship would only hold if he would someday marry Juana, so they both could receive the crown. One would think this would be the end to the king's dilemma, but unfortunately that was not the case. Within the next 5 years it would change drastically. Alfonso died suddenly in 1468, aged only 14. His sister Isabella took up the claim to the throne against Juana. Not initially, but after the enemies of the king were provided with inarguable justification, King Henri and his wife Queen Juana had not been in each other's company for many years. Not since she had been banished from court, when Alfonso was still alive. Yet she suddenly gave birth to children, ones that were not the king's, and were that of a lover or lovers. The king was obligated to divorce his wife and to accept and declare the children not his. Isabella became heiress to the throne of Castile, and although Juana and those who sided with her still fought for her cause, in the end they ultimately lost. Isabella and her husband Ferdinand went on to become the acclaimed Catholic monarchs, whilst Juana ended up in a convent at the very end. It will never be known if she was legitimate or not, unless DNA analysis is allowed. But as historians question the source material, it does well to remember that if she was legitimate, which is entirely possible, it would make Alfonso, and subsequently Isabella, usurpers. Not the best image for a monarch.